I've heard about recreational use of Dramamine before, so I decided to try it one night. It was an incredibly warm and blustery evening, perfect for a mind-altering experience. Went to a gas station and bought some cheap motion sickness pills. The only difference between them and Dramamine was the price. Ingredients were the same, 50 mg Dimenhydrinate HCl per tablet. Proceeded to a bench in the middle of downtown and took 200 mg with water, waited for about 15 minutes, took 300 mg more. No odd feelings until a half hour had passed. Everything felt light and bouncy. The street lights were getting intensely bright. Smoked a clove, then took the last 100 mg. As I rose to move on my way, I could really feel it kicking in. My coordination was off, like I should have been dizzy, but I wasn't. An incredibly mild paranoia set in. I was sure that someone would find out that I was on something and turn me in to the cops. I was constantly checking to see if a cruiser was coming by to pick me up and haul me off. Walking by the main highway wasn't a very wise decision. Every time I crossed a street it felt like oncoming traffic was going to speed up and run me over. Walked along the river that my town is by. Felt like I was getting attacked by the wind, and the only way I could stay firmly on the ground was if I kept moving. I kept on having intense urges to talk to people about the philosophy of life, but there wasn't anyone I could trust. My mind was completely open, everything was connected and my life actually made sense. I got incredibly lonely, so I headed back towards downtown to get a video or something. Me. Do you have the acid house? Guy at store. The what? A sheet ooze? Me. No, the ACID house. Enunciated clearly, Guy. Let me check. No, we don't have that. Looks at me like I'm speaking in gibberish. I quickly left the store, knowing that if I attempted to speak to anyone else they would only hear slurred speech. Apparently when I spoke it was clearly pronounced in my head but not to the ear. I had no concept of time or physical placement. Everything seemed like it was suspended in place until I realized it existed in that state, then it went back to normal. Started to walk again to avoid the wind, and realized I had been swinging my arms. Suddenly I knew that if I stopped moving my arms they would fall off. Some time later I came to another busy highway, and stopped in a gas station. Caught a glimpse of me in the mirror. My eyes looked like they were glazed over and rather glassy and getting rather red, almost bloodshot. My face didn't look like it was mine. Instead it was someone else's that I had borrowed for a while. Bought a toothbrush and walked over to a pop machine outside to rest for a bit. When I sat down I realized that I had been walking for the past 2 hours or so, and felt like I was still walking. Had some more water, then got the toothbrush and started to brush my teeth. It felt incredible, but I was afraid that if I brushed too long I'd make my gums bleed. Then started to have visions of my teeth falling out, all bloody and rotten. Started to chew on the brush, then the vision subsided. Smoking was rather interesting. I'd take a drag off of a cig, but it felt like I wasn't inhaling anything. Things were starting to disappear now. The butts left over from me would be in a pile one moment, I'd look away, then they were all gone with no traces behind like I had never put them there. Luckily I never got cottonmouth. Instead my spit became very frothy and white. I'm not sure if that was from the toothbrush or not though. I got up about a half hour later and started to head home. It was about 10, so I had been out for almost 2.5 hours, and tripping for about 3/4 of the time. Went upstairs to my room, turned on the lava lamp and put on some Affix Twin. The walls started to breathe, and things started to disappear again. I don't remember falling asleep, but the next day I could still feel some of the effects, like a mild euphoria and an extra dimensionality to music. I had an oral fixation for a bit after the experience, needed to have a toothbrush in my mouth for a few days. Some residual visions as well, but nothing that freaked me out. It was really fun, probably going to do it again. Smiley face.